Today I want to talk to you guys about something. I'm going to read in 1 Corinthians chapter 3. If you guys can put it right next to me or whatever works for you. Something I want to read to you guys, if we can go to our scripture here. It says in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, if I can get all the youth kids to stand behind that pulpit for me. 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 7 through 9 reads like this. Yes, you can go sit down. So neither the one who plants nor the one who waters is anything, but only God who makes things grow. The one who plants and the one who waters have one purpose, and they will each be rewarded according to their own labor. For we are co-workers in God's service. You are God's field, God's building. Period. Amen. So I want to give you two stories today God's given me for a month and a half. First story is this. There's a gentleman, and this gentleman's a farmer, and God looks at him and says, hey, I want you to go plant this flower in the desert. This dude looks at him like he's crazy. Well, why would I plant it in the desert? It's humid, it's dry, there's no way this flower can survive in a desert. God says, but I promise you I will send rain. Because his promises are always yes and amen. I promise you I will send rain. Okay, cool, whatever. So, next thing you know, this man goes out there for a month planting and stuff so it grows down in the ground. Waters it. He starts to get impatient because he doesn't see the growth yet. This is something I learned as a youth pastor when we first started this youth group. Do not get discouraged if you don't see the growth yet. Why do I say that? Because I learned that watching and listening to what God was telling me in the story is the guy started getting discouraged because it was a slow process. It was taking too much of his time. He was getting impatient with it, and he got frustrated with it. But I want to share something with you that God's taught me about being here. If there's not a plan A, He had a plan B through Z. He knows what He's doing on purpose. So this guy started getting impatient. He started getting frustrated. He started getting mad. He's like, man, why is this not coming up quick enough? Why is this not this? Why? Starting to doubt what God originally told him. And so what I started to learn is that then the flower, when he kept going, he's like, man, and now it started to become a chore to him or a job, not something God told him. So it started to grow. He sees that. Awesome. Okay, now I can finally see it. And he sits there and he sees it grow, and the color comes in and the flower grows and stuff, and it's nice and pretty. It's right there in front of his face. But then he starts to quit watering the plant still. He stops showing up every day like he was supposed to. He stops coming and looking at it, stops sitting there watering it, tending to it, being consistent with it, and he stops. So he comes back one day, next week, and says, man, it's kind of lost its color. Okay, I'll be back tomorrow, check on it again. Forgets to water it. Comes back the next day, started to bend a little bit. It's okay, still up. Comes back the next day, and slowly but surely this thing withers away and dies. God comes back, where's it at? Where's what at? The flower I told you to do, to grow it, to tend it, to be consistent with it. Oh, I gave up. I didn't see it was growing. I seen it growing, and I thought that was it. And then there's the other story on the other side of the desert. There's this man, and he sits there, and God tells him the same thing. I'll give you water. I'll provide rain. Please believe in me and trust in me after this other guy just messed up. God says, okay, God. Awesome. Goes out there, plants this flower. Roots start to grow in it. We need to understand this is that the hardest part of our lives is when the root takes place. Spiritual growth. Most people will quit because they don't see the results yet. God always works in a process. There's power in the process. How do I know that? Because if God took time with me, God took time with these kids. If God didn't give up on me or you, He's not going to give up on these kids yet. And I sat there, and this young man is out there watering every day, and this kid's a teenager, watering every single day, not giving up yet. Because he's excited, he's anticipating on the move of God, that what's going to happen, because he believes that God told him something. So he's like, man, he said, it's going to come one day. He does not give up. Keeps going, keeps watering, keeps watering, keeps watering. And he starts to see it blossom and grow and grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. And it gets so big, he's still doing it though. We have to learn to be consistent with people as much as we are consistent with God. And he sat there every single day, kept watering and watering and watering and watering and watering. He went home because he knew he did what God told him to do that day. And then the next day, nothing but just wet desert because it just poured. Downfall. He gets out there, it's still downfalling. Rain. God shows up on the spot. You did what I asked you to do. You were obedient. You didn't give up. You were persistent. You kept going when you thought that even though you couldn't see it, I was still moving. Like the song just said. The song said this, even when I don't see it, He's still working. Here's how I know that. Maddie knows, and I'll be honest with you guys, I'm not like this now, but sometimes I would get discouraged, and my parents know this, I would get discouraged if I didn't see a ton of youth all the time. Because I'm used to doing youth revivals and all these other things. I'm used to doing that. My college taught me that. Hey, it's about numbers. You got to fill seats. You got to do it. And I totally missed that God was like, hey, it's one person at a time. It is about one kid at a time. That's why I love being a youth pastor. Because they're the next generation that's going to come up behind me and be the next Billy Graham and hold crusades and do twice as much as I did. How do I know that? Look at Daniel. That's just one kid like that. The kid posts Genesis to Revelation books on Facebook. I mean that in a good way. But sometimes I'll read those and I just cry. Here's this boy on fire for Christ. Sits there and asks me on Friday night, hey, when I turn 20, can I still come back and volunteer and help out the kids? Because why? That seed's there. Thank you for that. The seed's there. All these other kids that are behind me, the seed's there. To see how excited they are about what God is doing. All you other guys can sit down. I'll just keep Daniel up here for me, please. Thank you, guys. I'll just keep you up behind this pulpit right here. But here's what I've known with my life. It is in Christianity and in our walk with Christ, we have to get to this point. We have to gather arms together and hold hands together. And when I take a step, He steps with me. If I'm an example, He'll follow. If I show Christ, He'll show Christ. If I worship, He'll worship. If I'm laying hands on people at the altar, He'll lay hands on people at the altar. Why? You're setting the bar. And you're setting the example. To where He sits there and calls me Monday, hey man, I just want to call you and ask, can I still come up to worship on Sunday mornings? Can I please come up there and worship with the worship team? Absolutely. It's the fire that's in him. It is our job to encourage, to love, to be passionate about one another. Something that I always did when I was reading this and God pointed this out to me a month and a half ago. God said this, He said, it's so easy to look at what you don't have that you miss what you do have. It is so easy to go like this, and I'm going to look, it's so easy to go, okay, there's all these empty seats right here. There's these empty seats right here, and there's these empty seats right here. But I'm going to say something. Can I please use you? Mama, see this. This right here is a pillar of what Christ has done in this church. This man has touched my family so much that my family is on fire for God. We talk about Christ every day, not like we haven't, but we talk about Christ every day, about how amazing this man can preach because we know it's God. You know, he just stands up there and looks pretty. But, my compliment for the year. But one thing that God taught me coming here, being with Him, is instead of sitting there being in the mindset of what's best for just the youth group, it's what's best of how can I serve with him? How can I be a team with him? How can I pick him up when he's down? How can we sit there and be a team together? How can we be brothers together? How can I help him in return? Because he has helped me tremendously in just months. So I thank God just for the relationship that we have. Thank you, Pastor Dave. But I wanted to share this is that if I'm sitting here and we're pouring into one another, encouraging one another, sharing the love of Christ with one another, you will see that this probably will be the next Billy Graham right here. This might be the next, you guys might know this, Elevation Worship. This might be the next Stephen Furtick. The next Craig Groeschel. The next Joel Osteen. The next whatever pastor you can think of. T.D. Jakes, whatever else you can think of, just anything. But just think about if we spend time with these people and in the body of Christ to build each other up, to pick each other up, we will grow. Amen. Spiritually grow. To pay attention to the names that Christ is, Jehovah Jireh, El Shaddai. To focus on those. To focus on who Christ is in these kids' lives. In our lives. And I love how it says that even when I don't see it, He's still working. There's so many exciting things coming out of this place this year that is unreal. That it gets me, it gets 12-year-old preaching Trevor that preached in my living room to stuffed animals. It gets that kid excited again. Because why? It's like, man, what's next? What's next? It is so easy to get discouraged and defeated when you can't see God moving. It is so easy to get angry and to get upset and to get frustrated when things don't go your way. But even when I don't see it, He's still moving. He is still working. He is still doing what He promised you. There's promises God made to me at 12 years old. And now I'm sitting in front of it. Watching God move. God told me at 12 years old, hey, you're going to be a youth pastor to get the next generation ready. Right here. Right there. Right there. It's so funny, and I listen to their stories of the things that these kids have been through, and it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart to hear adults go through things, to hear what problems they go through. But I know a God that is a miracle worker. He is our light in the darkness, and He will guide our path. Because that's just who He is. Yeah. He took time with you so you could take time with others. He took time to say, Trevor, you're 12 years old. You had ADHD. You got D's and F's. Trust me. I learned what my dad's hand was when it was coming down. Very quickly. And he's got a big hand and it scares me. You got an F, son? Well, see you at home. Oh, shoot. Run. But they never gave up on me. And our job as Christians is to never give up on one another. What stood out to me one time, I was preaching at a revival, and this person came up to me. She said, I've not been in this church in 6 years. I said, well, why is that? Well, they never even talked to me anymore, contacted me. I said, but God never stopped. God never stopped on you. Why? Because it's called unconditional love. Amen. We make mistakes. We all fall short to the glory of God. But we all have a growth spurt we have to go to in our daily walk with Christ. God might have found you at 40-something years old. God might have found you at 20-something, 12, 8, whatever, however old you were when Christ found you. but He has not given up on you. Sometimes we walk around like this so much with our heads down, like that we forget to look up at what Christ is doing, how Christ is moving, how Christ is using you, where He's using you at. But we have to be obedient and return and say, God, here I am, send me. And understand that if you set the example for people in your life that are still going through things, I'm here to say something today that God has told me to say, is that they will come out of it. How do I know that? If the prodigal son could return, so can they. Exactly. Because this is something that just blows my mind. Is that when they came to my job September 19th at 11 a.m., Pastor Dave looked at me 3 times. He's like, do you have peace about coming here? Do you have peace about coming here? Do you sure you have peace about coming here? My brother, I'm like, I feel peace, man. Let's go, bro. Cool, man. Okay. Kind of intimidate me because you got muscles, man. I got the stomach part. You got the muscle part, bro. Tag team on that, bro. But what we're supposed to do is do this. Is when he is down, I'm supposed to lift him up.
Why'd I bring it up?
I'm supposed to lift one another. We're supposed to lift one another up in prayer. Stand in the gap for one another. Hey man, you're down. Let me encourage you. You're a child of God. You have the victory every day you wake up. And it's funny how Satan loves to stop you in the growth spurt. Because if he knows you can blossom before the roots getting taken place, oh, he's got you. He's absolutely got you. Oh, I better stop, because if it starts poking out of the ground stuff and starts growing, I know I got something to deal with. I got a problem on my hands. But he will do anything to stop the move of God on your life. And I'm here to say something today, just as the youth pastor and just as Trevor. There's a move of God happening here.
Yeah. Amen.
I have felt it since October 6th, since I stepped here. Why? Because when you have people ready to serve, when you have people who are being obedient to God, when you have people that are saying, here I am, God, send me. Let's do something at church. Let's sit there and do what God tells us to do. The rest follows. Once I learned with the youth kids, hey man, it's not about numbers packing out these seats. It's not about sitting there filling up the youth room to get them to go somewhere else. No. If I focus on one kid and change one kid's life, I did something right. Because that one kid, like I said before, could be the next Billy Graham that sits there and has crusades all over. So my challenge to you today is let's encourage each other. Let's lift each other up. Let's stand with each other and say, hey bro, I know you're going through some things, but hey man, let's go to church. You are the church. Hey bro, you're the walking move of God. We keep, and this is something that God wants me to say, we keep waiting on a move of God when we are the move of God.
Yes. Amen.
Well, God, I'm waiting. He said, I'm waiting for you to move. Yep. Go. Make disciples of all nations. Go. What's stopping you? So something I wanted to challenge us today is all these seats that you see around you that are empty, I'm telling you right now, God already sees them full. Why? Because the spiritual growth that is in this place happening right now is already happening. It's already moving. I can see it in the kids. I made that goal a month ago. We reached it in 2 weeks. 3 weeks ago. We had 43 kids this week alone that are just hungry to be here. Kids that have not been here in a while. Hey, tell me when the next thing is. I'll be here. Let's go. So I'm extending my hand to you. I'm saying, let's go. Let's see more kids pack this youth house. Let's see more people in this church. Here's me extending my hand, saying, if you're going through things, I am too. If you're dealing with things, I am too. If you're struggling with things, I am too. But we will grow together. You need help being lifted up? I do too. You're going through a spiritual battle? I am too. But you're not alone. The amazing thing about our God is He will always go before you.